Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Tuesday, May 5th, 2009. This morning I thought I'd go through some of the work I've been doing to build up an API to Facebook. It's actually pretty easy. What you have to do before you really want to get started, if you want to experiment with this yourself, is you have to define a Facebook application. That's as easy as going to the page I was just on, hitting Get Started. Let's go back there. So you go here, developers.facebook.com, start now. It'll take you to a page that looks like this, and from here you can define your own application. So you follow their links and you build up something to use. So all you really have to do, I came back over here, I built myself a little interface for Bottom Feeder, and I filled in a bunch of stuff here. I'm not going to scroll up because that would show you my secret key and my private key, which probably not a good idea to do. But you fill in this information, put in your logo and icon if you want, and then from there you can start experimenting. And that's really all I've done. What you need to do is go over here to the API, and this will show you all the APIs you want to use. This is what I'm building, is an interface to these APIs. The idea is that other people would just be able to define an application, get their own secret key, and then use the API in building. So let me move this out of the way and give you an idea of what I've been working on. So again, I have a little holder to hold my secret key and my API key, and I'm not defining file storage for this or encrypting this in any way. Again, I'm just building a basic API here. So then to do something, all I really need to do is create a connection object that holds that stuff. And then I have to go ahead and log in. Now the login is going to take me to a web page. So what you're going to see is you're going to see the browser. Let me bring this back into view. And it's going to say I can now close this and return to the application. This is pretty much the way Facebook works, is you have to go through this two-stage authentication where you go to the browser and either log in if you're not logged in, or get told, okay, you're already logged in, or if it's somebody who's not using Facebook at all, it would take them to the Join Now type page. Once I've done that, I can then go ahead and ask for a session. And this is how I actually do things. And you saw the little hourglass. That's when it went out and got myself a session. So let's inspect the connection and take a look at what I've got. I'm not going to go ahead and look at my authorization holder, but I'm going to look at this session object. And what the session object will give me is when this expires, and this is in Unix time, so I haven't done anything to convert that. And then it'll give me my key and my user ID and all of this information. And that's what allows me to make further API calls. So for instance, I can go ahead and get a selection of IDs for all the people that I'm friends with on Facebook, and that'll give me back this. Not terribly useful, these are user ID numbers, but I can then call an API to match up the friends to something useful like their name. So I do this, and you'll see that I'm getting back from Facebook people like this, like that. I'm not getting any actual data for these people other than their first name or last name, but that's because I'm not really asking for any of that data. I could do more, but I'm just building kind of a basic stuff to make sure it works. I can also go ahead and get my current status. So I can do this, and that'll give me all the statuses that are in my stream. So you see I've been posting to this. And then let's go ahead and set a status. So let's go down here and set status here with something like setting this during today's screencast. So let's go ahead and execute that. And we'll do it. And now if I go here, and let's go ahead and go to my Facebook page. And you see here, it just came up. So I am in fact interacting with Facebook through my API. Now, how does that work? Let's go ahead and bring the browser into view. My connection object is pretty simple, and my secret holder is pretty simple. Here I'm just holding that API key and the secret key that I got back when I registered. And then the connection object holds on to that. And then here's basically some basic ideas on usage. So I go ahead and to authorize, I have this login. Here I'm just using the external web browser to go to that web page, and I have to create an URL that includes my authorization token. That's what I got when I went up here and did this login. The get session. The get session gave me the authorization token, so I had to get that first. And once I'd gotten the authorization token, I can then do everything else. So that's where I can do things like come in here to this and do a friends get. And this is just a matter of adding up a parameter-based post and then doing a post with the API name and handing it this information. So really this is very simple to do. You have your ability in Syncom Smalltalk to do HTTP gets and posts, and here I'm doing all posts. So here if I go to my API object itself, you can see how this is being executed. I just add in a bunch of parameters. I'm always forcing this to JSON because that's easier to deal with than XML, I think. I've got a little JSON reader that I'm using from the public store repository to read these in and give me reasonable responses. That's how I'm getting something here. I'm just parsing this with this and getting back real objects instead of XML that I have to, I don't know, build a special parser for. So here I come in, pass in some basic information, pass in all of the parameters I threw at it. The hard part of this was the signature with my secret key, and it's not that this was difficult, it's that creating that signature, I had to remember that they really wanted everything as lowercase. So it's just a bunch of information you pass in, and then hash it with MD5, make it a hex string, and then toss it all lowercase. Once I realized I had to toss it lowercase, this all became very easy. But the basics of this are right here. Do a post, and a post is just this guy here. Create a new client, whether it's HTTP or HTTPS, and then go ahead and do a post with the form data that I built up. And that form data is just a dictionary, so I don't have to create the URL encoded data myself. I just create a dictionary of keys and values, and VisualWorks goes ahead and creates the form data for me, posts it, and then I just look for exceptions and hand back the response. The response is something that the JSON reader deals with and gives me back objects. And that's really all there is to it. So then I can build up my APIs in here, and all I really have to do now is go back to Firefox and continue to go through the API page. And I wandered off that, but I go back to the developers API page and I continue to build up the APIs based on all that. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.